So you're finally considering taking that first international trip. But now you're overwhelmed because you don't have a passport. Let's walk you through how to apply. Coming up. Where are we going next? Let's go. I'm so excited you're here today. You're finally taking the steps to go on your first international trip. I'm so excited for you. You're about to embark on such an adventure. Welcome to the Traveling Cheesehead. My name is Michelle. If you're joining me for the first time, this channel is all about travel. We cover travel planning tips, reviews, recommendations, vlogs, to destinations around the globe. Today, I'm going to help you take your first international trip by walking you through the process of how to apply for your passport. It's a big deal. It's a little scary. You're dealing with the government, and there are certain things that you have to do to make sure that you have a flawless experience in obtaining your first passport. The first thing you need to consider is the timeline. Right now, we are in the COVID era, so things are delayed and not all the passport agencies are open, so they're processing the applications at a slower pace. That being said, some of this stuff has been delayed. A normal processing time is about 2 months or 8 weeks from the time you turn in your application to the time you receive your documents back. However, currently, that process is taking up to 6 months. So make sure you are planning accordingly to get your passport documents in and get that application started well before you're going to need that passport. Now, there are ways that you can expedite, but a lot of them right now are not available due to our current situation. Under normal circumstances, you can pay an extra fee to have your passport expedited. But with some simple planning, you don't need to be spending that extra money and have that extra stress of doing it last minute. So the website you're going to want to go to apply for your passport is travel.state.gov. Everything is laid out pretty clearly on the website, step by step of what you need to do. But I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version today, so stay tuned. So the very first thing you want to do is go on and print out your application. It's a DS-11 is the form that you're going to need to fill out to apply for your passport. All right, next, you're going to need to gather some documents. You're going to have to gather together your proof of citizenship, which generally speaking, since you don't already have an existing passport, is going to be your birth certificate. However, if you're an immigrant and you've been naturalized, that's going to be your naturalization certificate. So those are the things that you're going to need to have together for you in order to apply for your US passport. The next thing you're going to need is your photo ID. So like your state driver's license will suffice. All of these documents you are going to need to have copies of. Now, you can make copies of your birth certificate, your driver's license. It gets tricky when you get to that naturalization certificate. However, for this purpose, it's allowed. The reason that you want to have a copy of each of these, first of all, it's required for the application process. Second, they are going to mail back your originals. However, they are going to keep the copies that you send them. So it's important that you send them copies. Otherwise, it delays the process and it will delay you getting your passport on time. All right, the next thing you need to do is you need to look up the fees that you are going to need to pay in order to get your documents and get your passport. Now, the fees are for the passport book only, then there is the passport card only, and then there is the passport book plus the card. So the card is really only necessary if you are traveling back and forth through the ground entrances of the United States. So if you drive across the border to Canada quite often, or if you drive across the border to Mexico quite often, those are the times that you're gonna want to use your passport card. If you're like most travelers who get to their destinations internationally by flying, then your regular passport is going to be what you're going to need. It's $110 for the application plus a $35 processing fee. All payments need to be made via personal check or by money order. And the details of who to make that out for, I'll put in the description below. But it needs to be made out those two ways, so make sure you have that set aside and ready to go as well. All right, an important piece of the passport application is the photo. Now, you can take these photos by yourself. It's pretty easy. They've really relaxed a little bit some of the requirements. You used to have to go to a photo place and get a photo taken of a certain size and all this kind of stuff. Now you can pretty much take these photos by yourself at home, and then you can go get them printed off somewhere. It saves some money, it saves some time. It just needs to be a 2x2 square photo, which you can take on your iPhone if you want to. The other thing is it needs to be a white background, so don't take the photo with lots of stuff going on behind you. It needs to be a plain white wall that shows your full face up to your shoulders, where they can see your eyes, see your face very clearly. Do not wear your glasses, do not wear any hats, and don't wear any kind of distracting jewelry. It should be very simple, very plain, quite frankly, pretty boring. The other thing is, try not to have a big goofy grin on your face like you would normally. No, just a very simple, you can have your mouth open slightly if you want, but they prefer if you just are looking at the camera. You don't have to look mad like you do in your driver's license photo, but it does need to be pretty simple. So now that you've gotten all your documents together, you have filled out your application, and you have your payment and fees ready to go, now you need to know, where do I send all this stuff? Where do I apply? So the best part is there are several drop-off facilities with the US Postal Service, and they will process your passport application and collect all your documents and make sure that it gets into the processing center properly. So that is the easiest, really more straightforward way to go, and it's the way that I've used in the past. There are also passport acceptance facilities scattered throughout the US, and I will put the link in below where to find where the ones closest to you are, so you can always stop in there. If you're applying for a passport for the first time, you have to drop it off in person. You are not allowed to use the mail-in option. That is only if you have existing passport. If you're brand new, you have to go in person to present your documents, to sign everything, and all of that. Now that's another big thing, is when you have your application, there is going to be a signature section. Do not sign that document until you are handing off your documents to the passport officer. The reason is they need to certify that you are who you are. So they need to see you sign that. So don't do it ahead of time. I've seen many people make that mistake. They, get everything ready, they fill it out, they sign it, they take it, only to have to print off a brand new application, refill everything else out, and just so it can be signed again. It's not worth it. All right, so once you've gotten all your documents together, you've gone to the office, you've signed everything in front of the officer and turned everything in. They are going to give you a tracking number as well as a case number. What you can do with these things is you can go on to the travel.state.gov website to track your status. Now they will send you updates once they've received your application. They will also update you when it's processing, but sometimes it's nice to go and check as well. So you'll have those tracking number and case number to be able to go and log into the website to track the status of your passport application. Now, one of the other things that you will get notification on is when they have shipped your passport. So you will be able to then track it via USPS, where it is, when it's expected to be delivered, but they will be shipping your passport booklet separate from your documents. So just be aware of that. If you get the package and you open it and you're excited and your passport's in there and you're like, wait a minute, where's my birth certificate? Or, where's my naturalization certificate? Like, where is my original document? They're going to ship that stuff separately. Now, they keep the copies, they keep the photo, obviously, but they will ship back your original documents. And again, they come separately. They usually come within 10 days. If it's anything longer than that, you're going to need to reach out to the State Department to find out where your original document is. But it's very rare that that happens. So you should receive it within a 10-day window from when you receive your passport. Now, you're probably super excited. You've received your passport. This is a final step that you're going to need to take. And a lot of people miss this step and then end up with huge problems later. And that is, you want to check your passport. You want to make sure that they spelled your name correctly. If you have a middle name, make sure that they either put out your full middle name or just an initial, however it's supposed to be. Make sure all of that is accurate. Make sure that you look at your passport number, look at when it is valid until, look at all of those things, because it's important when you first receive it that you make sure everything is correct. If anything is not correct, there are steps in place to go through and get it corrected, but the sooner the better with that kind of stuff. You don't want to be going to check in for your first flight, for your first international trip, only to find out that there's a mistake in your passport and then you can't fly. So check your passport for accuracy and make sure everything is correct. All right, now how do you use your passport? I'll probably do a whole nother video on that coming up, but just take note that you will need to know your passport number anytime you're flying internationally going forward. All right, congratulations. I am so excited that you're applying for your passport and you're taking that step on your first international trip. Put in the comments below, where are you going? Where are you going to get your first stamp in your passport? I want to know. Put it in the comments below. I hope you found value today. Give me that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more great travel content just like this. Thanks for joining me on the Traveling Cheesehead. Until next time, travel safe. Where are we going next? Let's go.